making lists. To-do lists, shopping lists, lists of my strengths and weaknesses, and my life goals. And my number one life goal is to become a veterinarian. But before I continue, please like and subscribe because if you do, a songbird might land on your window and sing to you. I love animals. When I was 7, I went to the zoo and saw this pretty cat locked up in a cage. Mom, it looks so sad. Honey, don't get too close. I snatched the keys off the zookeeper's belt and let the cat out. I was banned from the zoo after that. Another time, I invited a stray cat and dog into our house. They got so excited that they scratched up the curtains, the walls, and the furniture. My brother's face swelled up like a tomato because he was allergic. When I was 15, I was outside the grocery store and this woman came up to me. Save the whales! Excuse me, have you ever considered being an actor? The camera would love you, and you can make a ton of money. My parents appeared out of nowhere with these huge smiles on their faces. Apparently, the woman was a famous agent who had discovered a ton of young movie stars. Ivy, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But I don't want to be an actor. I want to be a vet. The extra money you'd make could help the family and pay for veterinary school. I didn't want to take up acting, but looking at Mom and Dad and the fact that this money could really help us out, I reluctantly agreed. The next day, I signed a contract with the agent. Soon, I was auditioning every day. I booked small roles in TV shows and a few movies. In the 11th grade, I auditioned at a big Hollywood studio for a role in a movie opposite this teenage heartthrob, Roman. I arrived at the audition with cat hair all over my clothes, and I smelled a little funny from volunteering at the animal shelter. I stopped in the bathroom to clean up and ran into Becky, the meanest girl in school. She was also auditioning for the role and was equally shocked to see me there. What are you doing here? I'm auditioning. You'll never get this part. They don't want a weirdo like you. We'll see about that. I auditioned, then went to the park to feed the birds. One of them dropped a little surprise on my head. It just meant that he liked me. The next morning in school, Becky stormed up to me screaming like a lunatic. You cheated! You bribed someone! I know you did! There's no way you could beat me to the part! Thankfully, one of the teachers was around and grabbed Becky before she could attack me. Just then my phone rang, and it was my agent, confirming that I got the part. When Mom and Dad heard, they were over the moon, but I was still not as happy. A week later, I was on set and heard a commotion. I turned to see Roman yelling at one of the assistants. I said, "Decaf, you idiot." An hour later, he shouted at the writer. This dialogue is horrible. Change it now. The next day, he was even worse. Roman and I were shooting a scene where we were playing with the cutest little puppy. The puppy jumped up and licked Roman in the face. Get that thing out of here. It was bad enough that Roman bullied the crew, but to scare an innocent little puppy was going too far. You're a big, fat jerk. I am not fat. How dare you? Do you know who I am? You're a spoiled brat, your acting sucks, and your movies stink. You can't talk to me like that. I already did, and you know what? I quit. I'd rather get stung by a jellyfish than spend another second with you. My agent called me a dozen times, but I didn't answer. Roman wasn't the first spoiled actor I'd dealt with on set, but he was going to be the last. I was done with acting. A few days later, a sound woke me up in the middle of the night. Ouch. I charged at the intruder and knocked him to the ground. And then I saw his face. What are you doing here? I wanted to talk to you. Ever heard of a phone? Did you mean the things you said about me? Every last word. Then Roman sat on my bed and looked up at me with the cutest puppy dog eyes. No one ever tells me the truth. Everyone says I'm such a great actor, and they expect me to be perfect. But I'm not. That's why my last few movies failed, and I just got bitter. I'm really sorry for being mean, but I really just want to do a good job. You're playing a poor teenage boy in high school. It's not that difficult. It's difficult for me. I've never been to a high school, and I'm definitely not poor. So I was hoping you could do me a favor. What favor? I want to go to school with you, and I want to live like a normal teenager. I'm not sure how you're going to manage that. Your face is everywhere. Then Roman opened his backpack. He pulled out a wig and a makeup bag, and then turned his back to me. 10 seconds later, when he turned around, he looked like a totally different person. Call me Rob. My manager enrolled me in your high school under my new name. I can stay here in your house, and when we get to school, you can teach me how to be a normal teenager. Why do you want to stay at my house when you can easily afford another mansion? Let's just say I want to get the feel of everything, without my riches and comfort. And your house is perfect. You want to go to vet school and open an animal shelter, right? Uh-huh. But what's that got to do with this? You do this for me, and I'll give you $1 million, making all your dreams come true. At that moment, I saw my future flash before my eyes. I couldn't say no. Roman slept on my bedroom floor that night. I was sound asleep when music started blasting at 5 a.m. in the morning. Roman and his personal trainer were working out in the middle of my room. What are you doing? You'll wake my parents. And how did he come in? The same way I did. I turned off the music and shoved Roman and his trainer out of my window. Honey, what's going on in there? Just getting into shape, Dad. Later that morning, when I went downstairs, I got the shock of my life. Honey, you never told us you had a boyfriend. What boyfriend? Then Roman turned around with an apron and a plate full of pancakes. And he's such a great cook. I grabbed Roman's hand and dragged him out the door. Why would you tell my parents that you're my boyfriend? It's perfect, right? Now I can hang out at your house at any time without causing suspicion. That was not part of the deal. Well, what's your plan? If I'm not your boyfriend, then what am I? We're just friends, genius. I've never been friends with a girl before. The truth is, I never really had any friends either, girls or boys. And I certainly never ever had a boyfriend, but I wasn't going to admit that to Roman. We went to school, and somehow Roman was in every one of my classes, and he always sat in the seat behind me. Whenever he wasn't staring at me, he was mimicking me. He slouched in his seat like me, chewed his pencil like me, and even tried walking like me. Stop copying me. People are staring. Oh, sorry. What am I supposed to do? Homework? I already finished it. Roman showed me his notebook. He'd completed our math homework and half the upcoming assignments in the book. How'd you do that so fast? I had a tutor who was pretty intense. I learned this stuff a couple of years ago. I was horrible at math. It was my worst subject. If you need my help, just say so. I really don't mind. Afterwards, you can show me what normal kids do for fun. Yeah, I guess. Roman helped me finish my homework, and then I took him to the beach to surf, to a pizza shop, to the arcade, and to the animal shelter. I showed him the dogs that were up for adoption, and he freaked out. What's the matter? Dogs don't like me. That's not true. I took Roman's hand and introduced him to Mr. Buttercup, the sweetest dog at the shelter. Roman pet him, and they ended up becoming best of friends. As time went on, I got used to hanging out with Roman. We hung out at school and at home, and we sometimes talked all night. As I got to know him, he was actually pretty cool, and he didn't think I was weird because I loved animals so much. One night we were hanging out on the roof of my house, watching the stars. That's the Big Dipper. And that's Orion the Hunter. It's special. It reminds me of you. How? Orion only comes out during certain seasons, just like you. I still don't follow. There's something different about you when you're with animals. You shine. There's a bright light within you, and I think it's beautiful. I don't see that when you're with other people. Why is that? Animals are sweet and accepting. People are difficult and judgmental. I used to feel the same way. Well, not about animals, but people. But that changed when I met you. The wind picked up and I started to shiver. Then Roman put his arm around me, pulled me close, and kissed me. My heart fluttered as the moonlight shined down on us. His words echoed in my mind. And that's when I remembered it was... Of course, he was just acting. I pulled away. I'm sorry, did I do something wrong? This isn't a movie, Roman, and I'm not your girlfriend. Not now, not ever. After that, Roman started acting strange. He didn't sit near me in class anymore, and although he was still hiding out in my bedroom, he kept to his side of the room, and I kept to mine. I felt bad for being mean to him. Roman was a self-absorbed jerk, but maybe he was changing. Maybe he really did like me. I caught up with him at his locker to talk. Roman, about the other night. It's okay. What happened on the roof wasn't part of our agreement. I should have never put you in that situation. You just caught me off guard. I never expected that you could be what? So thoughtful, smart, and kind? You're so much more than the characters you play in movies. Orion may shine bright, but the real you is spectacular. You shouldn't hide it. And neither should you. Roman took my hands, and just then Becky and her annoying boyfriend Milo walked up to us with their army of brats. So, who's your new friend? He doesn't have 4 legs and fur. A bit of advice, new guy. Stop wasting your time with Ivy. She's a loser and a freak. Becky and her friends started laughing, and Roman's face turned red. Don't talk about Ivy like that again. Oh yeah? What you gonna do about it? Milo shoved Roman, and they got into a terrible fight. As the teacher tried to pull them apart, Roman's wig fell off and his cover was blown. Is that Roman? Everyone started pulling out their cell phones and started recording Roman as he ran away. The next morning, the video of Roman's fight with Milo went viral. Milo sued Roman in court for his injuries, and Roman was fired from his movie. Reporters found out that I had helped him with the disguise, and they camped outside of my house to interview me. A dozen stories were even published blaming me for ruining Roman's career. I tried to reach out to Roman, but he didn't answer my calls or texts. I felt so guilty that he was losing everything because he stuck up for me. He was my first real friend, and it cost him so much. A few weeks later, a breaking news report revealed that Roman's manager had stolen all of Roman's money and left the country. I couldn't believe that things were getting worse for Roman, and there was nothing I could do to help him. One evening, I was working at the shelter when Mr. Buttercup started jumping and barking like crazy. Then he yanked on his leash so hard that it slipped out of my fingers. Where are you going? Oh my God. Roman? Hey, Ivy. What are you doing here? I don't have much money left, but we had an agreement. Is this the only reason you're here? Besides, I can't take that. I'm the reason you lost everything. What are you saying? You're the reason I realized life is more than just making money. Ever since I met you, I've become a better person. And even dogs like me now. Dogs? Really? Are you just gonna stand there talking about philosophical nonsense? So, you want me to say that I'm madly in love with you? Or that I can't stop thinking about you? Or just shut up and kiss me already?